Hello and welcome to another episode of Startup with Poland, where we continue to get to grips with the nuts and bolts of the Polish startup ecosystem. Today, our guest is Maryla Wojcieszek, who works at the accelerator Huge Thing. As an innovation shaper, she supports large organizations in processes related to innovation. Maryla is also responsible for the materialization and transfer of knowledge, as well as talent management, and designs new products and services at Huge Thing. But before joining that team at the Huge Thing Accelerator, Maryla worked at PARP, the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development, and helped create various publicly funded acceleration programs. Now, I'm dying to find out more about all of these different aspects of Maryla's career. So Maryla, absolutely wonderful to have you with us here today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, you work on a daily basis with corporations, helping them to become more innovative, and one of those ways is through the implementation of startup solutions. But tell me, why did you get into this? How did you get into this? And what does the job actually look like?
I've been working closely to the startup and innovation ecosystem for quite a long time already here in Poland, and what brought me here is actually curiosity, because previously I started generally my professional career at public administration, where I was first of all designing various programs, public interventions and financing programs that were about to develop and to stimulate the development of the entire ecosystem. And after a period of looking at the ecosystem from some distance, I wanted to get into the practical part. So that's how I got to Huge Thing, and actually Huge Thing started as the accelerator. So it was working with startups since 2012 as one of the first accelerators in Poland. And naturally, in the course of developing startups in their growth, pushing them to grow, I was linking them to corporate partners. There's nothing better for a startup than actually a large client that is paying regularly, as you know yourself, because you've been there as well. So that's how we started to match those two sides. And actually, we've also observed in the course of doing this that those corporate partners are not naturally ready for work with innovations and including startups. And that this preparation process, internal preparation, is crucial for succeeding. So that's actually what we are doing right now in parallel to developing startups, to supporting startups. And this is my daily job. So it's very satisfying for me, this job, and looking how those corporate beginner innovators, become more mature and become actually independent from us, right? Because as Huge Thing, we mostly support those beginner innovators, both corporate ones, but also series, for example. Series are also perfect innovation takers, and also in preparations, and seeing how the corporates, become mature again and independent and are ready. They are innovation and startup ready is actually very fulfilling to me.
Well, I'm interested to know, because I as you mentioned, I also have some experience in this field, but do you personally think that startups can really make an impact on what a corporate is doing? And if so, in what sense are they helping corporates to save money or making them more efficient? I mean, what's your take on the genuine impact of startups on corporations?
Yes, this question why is of course very important, and this is the question that each organization, large, public, private, should actually answer internally. Why do we want to generally work with innovation? Because startups is only one of the ways, of the sources of the innovation that can be brought to the organization. But why? Why? First of all, in the short term, for example, as you mentioned, the goal is to generate savings or to generate some additional revenue sources for organizations. And this is what most organizations think of when they, start thinking about innovation, right? Especially, the financial departments and the board, they think of innovation and think, oh, there must be money in it, right? So we want to see the financial results. And it is possible in this short term, right? When it comes to the core business of an organization, there are many processes that you can optimize, automate, and that might bring some financial benefits. But it's it's only like a small part of the innovation story, right? We like to look at innovation. We at HugeThing and in my team, we like to look and perceive innovation in the so-called three horizon model. My team would be disappointed if I don't mention it, so I had to.
You got it in there, you're safe. You can go back to the office.
True. So there's much more beyond this core business, improvement, optimization. It's like a tiny part which will not transform the organization.
Okay.
That's why organizations need to look further. Like in the midterm, it's important, for example, to get ready for various regulatory changes that are coming, right? There may be some strategic decisions from the international companies that some changes are about to come, and it's obvious. And some preparation, some changes in activity need to happen in some period of time. So this is how companies can adjust to it and get prepared in advance, not to get, surprised on January the 1st, for example, of the new year. Yeah. Oh, there's a new strategy. Oh my God, what are we going to do, right? So again, innovation and startups can help them also in this midterm activities. But what is the most what is most interesting to me personally, and I think for all the organizations, is this long-term effect, and these are the activities that actually take more time. So those transformational innovation, but they need some time to actually to see the results. So this third horizon, this long-term horizon, it's a kind of moonshot activities, right? So everybody would like to get to the moon or maybe to Mars right now, but and each company has such mission in its own areas of business, right? But in order to reach to the moon, you need to first have like a space program. You need to have the crew. You need to look around what's necessary and what this moonshot is for your business actually. And that might require activities that need a long time, maybe some technologies to be tested, completely new. So you need to devote some part of your attention resources to those not known yet solutions actually, or models of operation that might be useful in the future. In order to give yourself a space for exploration. So in general, it's possible to combine all those three dimensions of innovation. So, optimizing core business, getting prepared to those changes around the corner, as we call them, and both thinking about what can be a moonshot for my business. So I would say that this why large organizations and including corporations should think of innovation is like combining those three dimensions and like strategically get ready to actually implement each of those in parallel, I think.
Well, I love the moonshot analogy, and I can imagine in a way it's sort of teaching corporations to sort of accept possible failure and so on, and experimenting so that one day actually one of the solutions that they're trying out could be something that's really going to differentiate them on the market. Yes. Is that the end aim?
Yes, that's the end point actually, because I think it's normal for everybody of us and also for businesses that you think of this everyday activity as the one that is going to last forever. But it's not going to be this way. And I think the pandemic showed us very brutally, and everybody got aware of that even like the brick and mortar stores will not be interesting for customers forever, right? So nowadays, for example, this can be like this basic example. Those retail companies need to think what will be the future model of providing their goods and goods to the clients. How the new generations of clients want to purchase, what they want to purchase, right? There's like this push into sustainability, into being environmental friendly, and so on and so forth. So the values also become very, very important to those new generations. So taking all of those aspects together, including the technological advancement, like the AI that can actually select, I don't know, clothes for us, right? And you don't need to actually go to the store. Maybe your smart fridge will, order your groceries, right? And simply maybe the stores will disappear from the market, and it will be in the cloud, and we will be spending this time differently, and this all will affect those businesses that actually provide their goods through brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what are the main barriers, so let's say you're talking to a corporation who agrees, with your line of thinking and starts to cooperate in the example I'm using with startups. I mean, there are quite big cultural barriers, but what barriers, do you find, and how do you actually, overcome them with trying to enable this cooperation?
Yeah, we might say at a first glance that there's actually everything that differentiates both startups from corporations, and actually it's true. There are many metaphors that actually resemble that. We could compare those two groups to an adult or a child. So a child being curious, courageous, wanting to do things differently, own way, in their own way, while adults are used to doing things in their own way, and in the way they used to do.
Yeah, they've learned.
They know everything. They don't like changes. It's been working for 20 years. Let's do it like for another 20 years and so on. Or we could compare it to a motorboat being a startup, which is like agile, fast, like no changes with changing direction and moving completely in a different way. To a tanker, for example, being the corporation, heavy, slow to change the direction of activities and so on and so forth. So this is actually what happens, but still those two groups of companies can make business, because it is about business, and they can benefit from such cooperation, but there are some key factors on each side that need to happen. And when we talk to corporate partners, we always tell them that first of all, they need to know the answer why to work with innovation, what is the goal, what results they want to see, and in what time horizon, right? Because sometimes companies want to see those short-term results, and I understand it, because it's very often the case that we have a single person starting this work with innovation in the huge corporation, and they need to show the results very quickly, right? They need to convince the board.
Get the buy-in.
Yes, they need to, exactly. The buy-in both to the board, to the management board, that it's worth going further and looking into those further horizons and getting ready to the moonshot. But it will not happen like in the first 2 years, for example, right? What's more, they need to convince the entire business, all the business departments, that it's worth looking around and analyzing various perspectives, working with startups, for example, or engaging employees in creating new solutions. This is also like a fantastic source of innovation, like the people in the company. So those people, those innovation heroes that actually take on this task of opening corporation to innovation, they need to bring those short-term results. But still, it's important to define the goal and the type of results and when you want to see the results, right? Yeah. Another thing in a large organization is actually making somebody responsible for delivering this goal and for making things happen. So it might be a single person, as I mentioned. It could be a team. It could be like a formally structured team, or like a dispersed group of people within the various departments, for example, right? But still, they should be like an innovation team, and they should map the needs of the organization, right? So they have like some business unit who will be like their internal clients, and for whom they will seek, for example, for some startup solutions outside the organization, help them test the solution and decide whether it's worth implementing it or not. What is also necessary are the fast processes, right? You know how corporations work. Like the tanker is a good example. So things need time, right? Making decisions takes time. Checking agreement, for example, for running a test with the startups takes time. And we know that startups cannot wait like 6 or 12 months for, getting formalities done, because it will be too long for them, right? They can die during this time. Yes, so like providing such a fast track for startups, for other innovation providers is crucial. So you need to get like the compliance, legal, IT departments on board, agree with them what is necessary, how to actually check those aspects as early as possible in order also not to waste time of the entire organization, in order to to act smoothly, right? So this would be the processes, and what takes a lot of time is actually building the entire innovation culture within the company. But actually this is something that cannot be prepared in advance. You simply need to have it built during the activities, right? Engaging people, showing the results, educating them about working differently, working in an agile manner, and that this is actually the way to obtain the tangible results that everybody expects.
Well, I mean, I think this is such a positive and fantastic picture that, you're painting of how to, build these processes and et cetera, and actually really sort of almost, teach the corporate this culture of innovation.
Yes.
But I must say, from my experiences, I've often observed that the innovation team or department in a corporate is almost like a PR stunt. I know this is the sad reality that I've seen, that it's, okay, we have the innovation team, but actually they're not taken so seriously by other departments, who are somehow involved. But, this is just a few examples I've seen. I know it's not the necessarily the norm, but from your perspective, where you have such a big, view on what corporations are doing, is my bad experience, something that you regularly see, or are things progressing, I suppose, is my question, on a wider scale, that that is actually still the few that are actually treating innovation in this, let's call it PR, rather than actually real business way.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is so-called innovation theater. So actually pretending to work with innovation, but when you look like behind the curtains, nothing is there. I've seen such examples as well. Fortunately, in the group of partners that we work with, it's not happening. But if it is the case that you have mentioned, that this is the PR only, and there is no internal recognition inside for such innovation department or a team, however it is structured, but that proved that something went really wrong at the beginning of this process. As I mentioned, this building preparation internally for work with innovation, whether these are startups or we engage employees into creating innovation, it takes time. And actually this gaining recognition and engaging other business departments, units of the company is actually crucial. It's it's not about having the innovation department just for having it, right? It's about to provide the organization with the tools and the processes in order to make the company more competitive, in order to build long-term competitive advantage, in order to transform or even disrupt the business that the company operates in. So if this innovation department does not convince other people that it makes sense to work differently, to engage startups, to maybe to speculate what would happen if we modify the processes or provided our services or products differently, then actually the business will not follow, because it's also not about monopolizing work with innovation by innovation department. It is supposed to be the engine that will actually give the pace and all the fuel, right, which is necessary to move this tanker forward. So if there's no fuel from the innovation department to the business departments, the business will just keep on working on their own, because there usually are people who are willing to also bring innovation, work in an innovative manner also in those business units. So if they don't see benefits from working with the innovation department, they will simply not do it. And what is also important, innovation department, it can be like 5 people team, it can be like 20 people team. Still, it's not enough to move the entire organization forward. That's why in time, it's also necessary to build this entire network of, we can call it ambassadors, innovation experts, you know, there are various terms for that, in the entire organization. In each of the departments, actually, there should be like, you know, your arms of those innovation departments that will, you know, how to build this culture. I think the ING Bank in Poland is a perfect example of how it can be done.
Okay.
They actually have built their own methodology of working with innovation, and I think it took them like 6 or 7 years to build this innovation culture, to, you know, to shape a big, large group of people who are actually able to, you know, to run project teams, right? According to their methodology, and how to test new solutions, how to work out new solution and check whether it's worth developing them, implementing them or not. So there are organizations which can be the examples, like this ING Bank is only one of them. We also had in our acceleration programs, you know, for example, Veolia, that also has successfully built the innovation team and is capable of both testing startup solution, but also engage employees in creating new solutions. So there are many positive examples. I mentioned only 2 of them. Yes. But I always just also say to startups that whenever they see that there are some symptoms of the innovation theater, they should like run away from such corporations, because there are, of course, PR related indicators that can be the, you know, the measures for work with innovation, because, you know, we can also translate it into money, right? This PR effect, but it's not the sake in its own. For startups, it can be a way of gaining recognition in the market if they, you know, show themselves on some big event with the corporate partner. But it's not about this. It's about going backstage and actually do the business. And what I haven't mentioned also before, when you ask what needs to happen to successfully match corporation to a startup, on the startup side, what we very often see, but it's getting better, fortunately, but what happens often is actually that startups are not prepared. They don't do the homework, and they do not actually do the proper research about the corporate partner, right?
So they have no awareness of the world that they are entering and wanting to work with.
Yes, it's both about those internal, you know, machine and the engine, how it works, but it's even about how the capital group is structured. You know, we have like more and more companies merging, and, you know, we have like capital groups of, for example, 30 business units. And startups need to be very precise in order to have a value proposition to which unit actually they want to get to, right? What will be the value that they can present, and then the big business actually can take into account whether to cooperate with them or not. So this is I think the biggest obstacle that actually prevents some corporations from working with startups. They see an unprepared startup. They would like to work with startups, but they do not tolerate, you know, such unreadiness. But as I mentioned, it's getting better. We also see more and more often that startups engage either ex-corporate employees. So they know how the machine works, and they even know how to get to the corporate partner, so they do not get as surprised as they would if they haven't had that person on board. But still, this preparation is crucial on the startup side. Yes.
Okay. Well, I hope that any startups listening to us who want to work with corporates are listening to this advice. You know, do your homework, do your research, and don't be naive in the way you enter. And, you know, and great to hear that, you know, this theatre syndrome is less and less often. I mean, I sometimes think it's not maybe the best comparison, but looking back that, you know, 20 years ago, corporates didn't really buy into marketing managers. And now nobody would imagine even a small company without, you know, somebody who's responsible for marketing and communications. So I'm sure as time progresses, you know,
it's changing.
Exactly.
I think it's. I think innovation is no longer this like the most sexy buzzword, let's say. Now we have ESG, for example, right? And like maybe there's like ESG theater happening. Probably it is, right? ESG also is like, by the way, it's a very nice area where a lot of startups can fit into, and they can help corporates deliver their ESG businesses. But yes, innovation, I think more and more companies truly discover that innovation, both internally generated or those from the outside, so in the open innovation model, that they can bring genuine change and benefits to companies. You know, they can be, as I mentioned, they can optimize processes, but we know that corporates also through startups solutions, they can test some solutions or technologies which are not yet applicable on the market because, for example, regulations are not yet ready. It can be, for example, about the drone technologies, right? But we saw our partners already testing such technologies for even delivering food, right? Or for some water pipes monitoring, right? So these are some possibilities that can help them either decide whether it's worth, you know, spending time and money and developing some technologies internally or like with some partners, or maybe they should look for some other solutions. So I hope this will be like this prevailing direction that both startups and employees and generally innovation is worth attention, and even if those benefits are not always visible in the short term, but still it's worth the effort.
The long-term goal. Well, I loved, you know, what you said about ING and the 7-year plan. So, you know, so let's hope to more and more, you know, corporations do take that lesson. Maryla, one last question. I wanted to sort of go back in time to before your time at Huge Thing. This is something that really interested me when you were at PARP, the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development, and you were in charge of creating various publicly funded acceleration programs. One of those being the Poland Prize program, which actually brought innovators from outside of Poland onto the Polish market. But I'd really like to hear a little bit more about that and whether you think they have impacted these programs, the Polish market. Maybe it's too early to tell, but you know, whether Poland has grown as an innovation hub, you know, thanks to these programs, or will do in the future.
I believe those programs have developed the entire ecosystem. You know, we tend to think maybe about the innovation ecosystem as mostly startups, but they're like more than that. We have like corporations, we have public institutions, we have universities, business angels, and VC funds. So all those programs actually were about to integrate, well, first of all, to develop each of those segments, but also to integrate them. And I had a chance to actually co-design those publicly funded acceleration programs. And actually, those were the first programs that were bringing startups closer to corporations. And it has become actually the prevailing model of acceleration programs in Poland, as you know by yourself, right? We started from scale-up pilot program. It proved successful. Just to show you in numbers, so we started, those were the programs where operators from the market, some accelerators, were about to search for startups who would address the needs and challenges of corporate partners, including state-owned companies. And when the program was launched, there was like 5 or 6 accelerators as the operators of the program. And they started with 33 large organizations, like the corporate partners, when the program was launched. When at the end of the program, after I think 18 or 24 months, there were like 66 large organizations on board. That proves, in my opinion, that in the course of action, while those programs were actually taking place, other organizations simply got convinced that it's worth trying. I think those were the perfect conditions, and they still are in the programs that are about to be launched next year by PARP, that these are like very favorable conditions for corporates to check how this entire cooperation with startups look like,
work,
you know, and these are like very safe conditions, because first of all, you have a guide. The accelerator is actually a guide through the process, right? They will bring you to from the challenges and the needs identification. They will do the scouting of solutions, which, as you know, is like a big loads and loads of work, right? To find those like fitting 3 solutions, you need to have like 300, right? To look through, in order to select the 3 good ones. So somebody will do this job for a corporation, right? And then you have a guide through the POC, so a test of technology. It is also guided. And what is more, startups get financial help, right, for the entire process. So the corporates do not spend their own money for the testing. So it's like a free
it's a win-win,
trial. It's a win-win
yeah.
situation, right? So it's perfect for testing. And I think this is a good way for corporations actually to check whether it's for them, whether they are ready. You know, sometimes corporations think that, oh, we don't need to get ready. We can like launch an acceleration program on our own like tomorrow. So we usually like ask them to maybe slow down a little. If they want to make a deep dive, of course they can. But such programs are a very good way to do that. And in general, I think both those programs, the acceleration programs publicly supported, as well as those programs that provided money for the VC funds, you know, they all help the ecosystem to grow, right? What is important in such programs, they should not last too long in the same form, because public financing should actually address the market gaps, financial gaps, right? They should stimulate those parts of the market and those aspects that have not developed, you know, by themselves. Right? If you want to speed up the process, you simply provide the money, the know-how in order to make things happen faster. So this is the goal of such programs. So I also know, and you probably also have seen it, that sometimes when there's like too much money and too much support of a given type, it actually leads to some misuse of those funds, of those programs. So I know that those organizations that design the programs are aware of that. So it's always about balancing the benefits and those side effects and costs. But I do believe that, you know, actually Poland and Polish ecosystem would not be at the stage where it is right now without this support. And if we take a look at what's available and how people you know, target those programs, they are still attractive. But it's also important for both the corporate partners, for startups and other companies, to enter such programs consciously, because these are not easy money when you are the beneficiary of public funding. So it's worth, especially for startups, I think, right? There's always this formal burden attached. Simply, you know, transparency is the key in public financing. So you need to be ready for, you know, providing the proof for expenses and so on and so forth. But still, I believe this support can be very good for each of the sides engaged.
Yeah, no, certainly. Well, as I mentioned to you, I worked also as an acceleration manager with some startups in these programs. So, you know, so I know that it's not an easy ride at all. But yeah, it can be hugely, you know, beneficial if actually both sides, the corporate who's doing the pilot with the startup and the startup, do take it very seriously and honor, you know, the program. But no, so, you know, looking forward to hearing what programs come up next year, and really looking forward to following, you know, what you're doing with Huge Thing and the work with innovation and corporations. You know, I think it's so important for the whole, you know, innovation ecosystem. I won't call it startup ecosystem, but the innovation ecosystem in Poland and for the whole of Central and Eastern Europe and indeed Europe and the world. You know, let's go big.
Let's go big.
You know, let's go. But ultimately, it is. You know, it's important for everything trickles through. So you know, so wonderful work you're doing. Good luck with it all. And I look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to our listeners. And join us next time for Startup with Poland.